very good morning and a warm welcome to the first hour here on the Newsroom. I'm Elvis Preslin.
And I'm Kendall Makhamate.
Jumbo Africa. Now, we will be with you until 12 o'clock today. Today, the focus is on the iconic jazz artist, South African jazz artist, Ray Phiri, Kendall. Of course, he had lots of songs, and he was an absolute icon, and South Africans love him.
And you know what? He's a soundtrack to my youth. Growing up, I could hear songs of Stimela, I could heur songs of the sounds of Ray Phiri saying Zwagala. On weekends, it was being played throughout the neighborhood. Ray Phiri really is an icon, not just of jazz, but of music in South Africa, and of what being South African is for a lot of people.
And even world music. Remember when he teamed up with Paul Simon, and made that iconic album, of course, went worldwide, 16 million albums sold. But we're asking you that question this morning, Kendall.
Yeah, what's your favorite Ray Phiri song? Want to find out from you. Dig back in your memories and your old annals and give us what your soundtrack is.
Whisper in the deep. But we're not going to get there right now. We're also asking you a poll. Of course, we're looking at the ongoing violence, a serious issue. But let's first take a look at the tweets. Let's take a look at
Yes, no, we really want to find out what you've got to say about what worked for you from Ray Phiri. Mystic Man says fire, passion, ecstasy. I'm not going to sing it. This song makes magic.
Rest in peace, Ray Phiri. Alex Matapo says, don't whispering. Pendamzala. Rest in peace, energetic man. Oh yes, there it is.
Humphrey Matebula says, Zwagala. This is the greatest song ever. Ray Phiri from Humphrey Matebula.
Those are some of your comments. Please keep coming. Let us know what is your favorite song by Ray Phiri. And Stimela, of course, not forgetting Stimela, the group as well, right? But on the poll today, very disturbing issue, and we're going to focus that with some of our guests a little bit later in the program, focusing on the violence in KwaZulu-Natal and political killings that is happening there.
Yeah, no, we want to find out from you. What do you think? Do you think this commission, the Moerane Commission, will actually uncover the cause of political killings in KwaZulu-Natal?
That's the question we posed to you. The poll suggests at this point in time that there was 139 votes in. 30% are saying yes, the commission will uncover. 70% are saying no.
Onuka Christian says not only at KZN, all political killings must be unraveled. People, or unrevealed rather maybe. People should be brought to book for their crime, no matter whose ox is gored.
This one from the great, he says, these commissions that are being set up are soft when it comes to judgment. At Morning Live SABC, people should be jailed, he says, the great.
Phoenix says, I have no faith in anything to do with investigations in this country, but I hope so.
Well, let's hope, because it's ongoing. It's again on today in KZN. You will watch that with interest, and we'll discuss that with our guests as well this morning. The KZN Premier will be with us shortly in our Durban studios as well to discuss that. But we're also asking a sporting question today, and it's a very inspiring story. We've seen the bromance between Wade van Niekerk and the greatest sprinter of all time, they say, Usain Bolt. What's happening there?
No, well, we've got Usain Bolt, who's just pulled out of the 200 meters at the London World Championships, and everybody's talking about whether he's running away from Wade or not, because we all know that Wade is going to be running the 200 meters. I want to find out from you, what do you think? Is Usain Bolt not racing against Wade in the 200 meters in London because he's running scared? What have you got to say about that conjecture?
Onuka says maybe he's afraid of sport failure.
Mashromola says he loves the guy so much he wants to see him win everything. You don't want to give our boy a whipping like Phelps did to Leclerc.
There you go. Alex Matapo says he wants Van Niekerk to be a champion.
And some people talk about how Floyd Mayweather got 49-0 because he chose his fights. And maybe this is what Usain is doing, choosing his races.
Well, there you have it. But right now, let's get down to business and take a look at what's happening on the headlines. The Monetary Policy Committee is expected to make a decision on whether to hike, cut or keep the interest rates the same. Workers in the vehicle manufacturing sector threatened to down tools after several rounds of negotiations failed. And legendary jazz musician Ray Phiri to be remembered at a memorial service at Mbombela Stadium in Mpumalanga. Rest in peace, Ray. But right now, let's find out from Kendall what's happening on the sports front.
Elvis, thank you very much. Good morning to you. This is what we've got planned for you in the sports today. In a move that should finally put the club versus country debate to bed, the African Nations Cup is said to be expanded to 24 teams and move from the beginning of the year to dates in June and July.
You 1 and 4x1, you don't go for 200. No. So you confirm that you don't go for 200.
Confirm.
Sprint legend Usain Bolt reveals that he will not run in the 200-meter sprint at the World Championships, denying the world a showdown with heir apparent wait for kneecap. And SASCOC CEO Tabby Reddy gets suspended after charges of sexual harassment get brought against him.
CEO of SASCOC, Mr. Tabby Reddy, thank you so much. We're looking forward to hearing from you, sir.
All this and more I've got for you later on in the Sports Bulletin. For now, let's bring you the top stories for this bulletin. The Reserve Bank is expected to make an announcement on the repo rate after its Monetary Policy Committee meeting in Pretoria this afternoon. Some economists say chances of a cut are highly likely. Economists say cutting interest rates would not be ideal for South Africa's current economic situation. They say interest rate cuts are not a solution to South Africa's economic challenges. They say in order to kickstart economic growth, there needs to be a concrete change in terms of economic policy reform. In other news, trade union NUMSA has warned of further construction delays at Eskom's coal power plants Medupi and Kusile if its members in the engineering and metal sectors go on strike. The action could also have serious implications on the car manufacturing sector. The union says talks between itself and the employer are deadlocked. The National Union of Metal Workers says a breakdown in wage talks has led to threats of strike action and it has been granted a certificate to strike. NUMSA spokesperson Pagamile Hlubi says the union and employers are far apart on demands. It wants a 15% across-the-board wage increase based on the actual rate members are earning. The union wants a 2-year agreement. They also want this agreement to be backdated to the 1st of July and to be extended to all sectors in engineering. In other words, all companies that work in the engineering sectors, whether or not they are members of the MEIBC, must extend, including those in the plastics industry. Now, of course, for more on this story, we're now joined on the line by NUMSA's spokesperson, Pagamile Hlubi. Good morning, Pagamile. We understand that negotiations are deadlocked. Where to from here?
Good morning, and thank you for having me. Yes, indeed, wage talks in the engineering sector deadlocked somewhere around June. We've also engaged in several wage dispute talks, which unfortunately have failed. The only thing that's going to prevent a major national strike in engineering at this point is if employers put an offer on the table which our members can seriously engage with in order to prevent a strike.
Now, as NUMSA, what are some of the demands that you have and what are the employers offering?
So as you correctly outlined in your introduction there, we are demanding a 15% increase across the board. We're demanding a 2-year agreement. We're demanding that the agreement be extended to all parties, whether or not they're members of the MEIBC. As long as they're part of engineering, they must be subject to this agreement. We are also demanding, for example, that the agreement must be backdated to the 1st of July 2017. Now, the sticking points for us are obviously on the issue of the percentage increase. We are demanding 15%. The employer is offering 5.5%. The other issue that we are disagreeing very vehemently on, and it is really a major issue for us as a trade union, is the attempt by the employer to erode the gains that we have made as workers in this sector. They are trying to impose the national minimum wage of 20 Rand per hour, which really is going to have devastating consequences on the sector because of the fact that we have fought very hard to increase and make the minimum rate in engineering 40 Rand per hour. So they are basically trying to force us to accept a proposal where some workers who are doing the same work are earning less than what they deserve. There's other proposals, for example, which have been put on the table by the employers, which include, for example, that those workers who do not work in urban areas, for example, in Gauteng or in Cape Town, should earn less than those in those urban areas. And for us, we find this completely unfair, because if you are working in Mpumalanga or you're working in Limpopo, you are just as affected by high food prices, by high fuel prices. So why should you be paid less? Really, they're trying to get us to violate the principle of equal pay for equal work. And as a trade union, this is simply unacceptable.
Now, Phakamile, what's the likelihood of you going back to the table, or are you going straight to the streets? And if so, when do you plan for that to happen?
We have not yet announced on a date for the strike. NUMSA members, at the moment, we are engaging all our members at all levels. We are informing them of the situation that we're in. It is very important that our members have to be the ones to determine when we go on strike. The reason we say this is because ultimately, at the end of the day, the people who are most affected by a strike are our members. You have to remember that a strike is a no-work, no-pay situation. And it's not really a win-win situation, and it's not an ideal situation, also because of the impact on the economy. So we are not going to rush into a strike. But yes, we have exhausted all avenues, and that's why we're at the point where we are in a position to give 48-hour notice if we have to.
Right, Phakamile, I'm sure a lot of people are very interested in the strike or non-strike that might happen. Do you foresee the employer ever coming back and coming back with something that's more amenable and acceptable to you as a union?
We are hopeful that employers will come with a better proposal. We have been engaging in bilateral talks with some of the employer associations. Even this week we were engaging in bilateral talks. Really, it's not too late to avert a crisis, but we urge employers to be serious about what they put on the table so that we can put a really good proposal to our members so that we can, avert a crisis in the economy if this strike were to occur.
Phakamile Hlube, thank you so much for having joined us and giving us insight into what is going on in an issue and a topic of national interest. That was NUMSA's spokesperson, Phakamile Hlube, chatting to us there about what we can expect with regards to the possibility of a strike between NUMSA and the employer. Quite a lot to talk about there. Very far apart they are between themselves and the employer in terms of what they would like to have happen and what the employer is offering in return. Now, we have another very important matter, a matter of national interest. In fact, as you all know, the tertiary season is about to start, where applications are being made for financing going into next year. And over the last few years, it's been a very hot topic, and that's exactly why Elvis has got the current guest that he's got with him right now.
Thank you, Kendall, because NSFAS has begun the countdown to the opening of the 2018 tertiary application cycle. If you're a student, this is very important for you. There are 11 days left before the application cycle is officially opened. NSFAS has previously had problems with late applications. Now, to talk to us about the application process and the importance of applying early, we're now joined by the NSFAS spokesperson, Kagiso Mamabolo. Mr. Mamabolo, very good morning to you, sir, and welcome.
Thank you.
Now, when we last spoke last year sometime, you were at the brink really of making sure that you have all the students in the cycle for the previous year. But now it's the new season, 2018. When is the 2018 application cycle opening?
Well, the 2018 cycle is opening on the 1st of August. And that's why we are on our road shows at the moment to encourage everyone who would need financial assistance for 2018 to get their documents ready. In fact, what we are doing at the moment is to say all those students that are currently studying with NSFAS at universities or colleges must not apply when applications open. We actually are opening these applications for students who never received NSFAS or who would want to get NSFAS for the first time. So all returning students that are on NSFAS will automatically receive funding until they finish their studies without them having to reapply again.
That is actually fantastic, because then you're bringing all the new ones in and you have time to sort them out in the interim, isn't that? Is that what you are looking at?
Exactly. I mean, we have been inundated with number of applications forms. Some were not necessary because these were students who were panicking, who were on NSFAS, and were just reapplying just to make sure that they are safe for the following year. So this year we're just making this process a little bit more simpler, and we're saying if you are not into the system, please don't apply.
Take us through the application process and what documentation are required for those first-time applicants.
Well, basically, we've reduced our applications, supporting documents from about 8. We only require about 4. I mean, it's your own ID copy as an applicant, your parents or your guardian, or any person that you are living with. And also, we need supporting documents such as your salary advice. What is very important in the new...
Salary advice of the parent or
of the parent or the guardian that you're living with. And what is very important, as you can see, I have an application form here,
yes,
which is about 2 pages. You know, we've cut it down from 11 pages last year. And this form, it has a part where you have to actually give a positive consent as a parent, because we want to verify income and employment status as NSFAS so that it can be easy for us to decide if you qualify for funding.
I want to put that on the table so our camera can actually capture that as well, so they can see. Yes. That is the 2018 application and the requirements there. It seems to be very simple and very simplistic, is it?
It is quite simple. We actually spend a lot of time improving it. I mean, last year, from 11 pages, you could imagine.
Yeah.
Now we are also merging it with the online system where it will take about 5 minutes to complete. But what we are saying this year, we are saying that we don't want any manual application form sent to us by post or by email. We have now opened the drop and go centers. So you go to NYDA offices nationwide where you can drop your application. And after you drop it, there would be officials that are trained by NSFAS that will capture your application online. So at our head office, we'll only receive your online application, and an SMS confirming your application will be sent to you. So we encourage everyone to actually go online. If they can't go online and apply, they must go to our drop and go centers and ensure that they have a reference number.
Now that sounds absolutely fantastic. You're moving into a new digital age where young people are normally involved with. So what sort of problems and challenges that you have previously with late applications?
Well, the problems would be where that late applications would come without supporting documentation. And also some of the applicants would not disclose the income of parents, and that makes it difficult for us to assess and evaluate who qualifies and who does not qualify. Now, the opening of applications starts from the 1st of August, closing on the 30th of November. Then we have the entire December to actually assess and evaluate and actually start communicating with those that have made it. But we encourage everyone who's applying to give us a valid email address or a cell phone number, because results will be SMS'd.
Results will be SMS up until when then? Will that be in December or in January?
Well, it will be an ongoing process as we evaluate. Because
so immediately when you go through, then you're being alerted?
Yes, the first one, you will get an alert that says we've received your application. Yes. If within 10 days of dropping off your form, you did not get an SMS to acknowledge that, please get hold of us so that we can try to trace your form, and you can tell us where you dropped it so that we can be in touch with that center. But also, we will wait for matric results to be released in January before we do final assessment. And only then we can be able to release the rest of the results. What we are encouraging everyone to do is that they mustn't worry about sending us their academic transcript or their matric results, because we'll get them directly from the department.
What are some of the criteria that you're looking at from NSFAS for students to qualify? We're looking for actually those who cannot really afford, and affordability, it's up to 120,000 per annum. And also we're looking for those that wants to go to either TVET college or a university. These are public universities. You need to demonstrate to us that your parents don't earn enough to be able to afford that, and then we'll cover that. Where can people get more information? On our website, which is www.nsfas.org.za, or they can call us on 08600
67327.
Mr. Mamabolo, all the best of luck, and let's hope that you get all the applications in early this time.
Thank you.
That was the NSFAS spokesperson, Kagiso Mamabolo, talking to us about the 2018 cycle application and the importance of you applying early. Make sure that you do it very early, so get in line. Let's now take a look at what's happening on social media, especially on Twitter. And we start off with the police call centre, 10111. The strike is on. The South African Police Services says it will discuss developments on the 10111 call centre operators strike, which started yesterday. As you know, operators are calling on the SAPS to increase their current salary to 50,000 Rand per annum, an increase on that. That's hashtag 10111. Then, hashtag Eskom, following yesterday's media briefing. Eskom is denied being financially unstable and will continue with disciplinary proceedings against its former CEO. It was lights out yesterday for the former CEO. And much love to music icon Ray Perry's memorial will take place today. We'll probably cross their live a little bit later. You have to stay tuned. The artist passed away at the age of 70 from lung cancer. Hashtag rest in peace, Ray Perry. Then, moving further afield in Kenya, 2 major hostels, or hotels rather, have been closed due to a cholera outbreak in Nairobi. The health minister says that this outbreak has potentially affected hundreds of people already. 4 people have died. Hashtag cholera. Let's move over to Japan. A 5.8 earthquake has struck about 75 kilometers rather from Honshu. There has been no immediate warning of a tsunami. Hashtag Japan quake. And let's have some entertainment news now. An old friend of Madonna has auctioned off items of hers that she once stole. I wonder from who? Including a pair of underwear. However, Madge has blocked the auction to prevent the selling of personal letter that Tupac Shakur wrote to her. You remember Tupac? Hashtag Madonna. There they go. Now let's recap on yesterday's poll results. Remember that we asked you yesterday, is the suspension of the implementation of the mining charter justified? Let's take a look at what you told us yesterday. And that is the poll there. Yesterday you come in with 135 votes. The poll was only open for 3 hours because we had another poll in the second hour. And you told us that 52% of you are saying no, the suspension of the implementation of the mining charter was not justified, and 48% says yes. We had a whole discussion around it, but you were also telling us about it. You said government proposes dropping the pass rate for grade 7 to 9s yesterday. Let's take a look at those final results from that poll. And there you go, 228 votes in the 3 hours. 82% of you disagreed with that. Said government shouldn't drop the pass rate for grade 7 and 9. Remember, just to clarify, it was all about maths. And then, of course, 18% agreed with that. Those are your results from yesterday. Now, a picture of the day comes from AJ Plus, and its caption, 2 mummified bodies in the World War II era. Clothes were found in a Swiss glacier. Now, this could solve a mystery of a couple that went missing in 1942. There you have the picture on your screen. Comment of the day. A comment comes from Alex Kent, who says that amazing woman, original HIV activist, hilarious, no bounds to her compassion. I'll miss you, Auntie Prue. That was Prudence Mabela. Now, tomorrow we look forward and we shine the spotlight on the continuing Uber attacks. Meter taxis and Uber at each other's throats. We'll explore that a little bit more tomorrow. Let's now take a look at what's happening in the courts, and we start off here in Johannesburg with sentencing proceedings in the rape case of the Kwaito artist Sipho Brix Ndlovu. Is expected to get underway in the Roodepoort Magistrates Court later this morning. Brix was found guilty of raping his then 17-year-old relative in 2013. Moving to the Eastern Cape, 42-year-old suspect arrested for the murder of his stepmother and aunt, who was also his neighbor, in broad daylight 2 weeks ago, is due to appear in court in Ngobo. Now, this after residents torched his home and cars after they said that they want the police minister to intervene to solve the murder. And in the Western Cape, the sentencing of the Cape Town businessman and 2 co-accused is expected to take place in Bellville in the commercial crimes court there. They were found guilty of fraud involving millions related to Nedbank. Those are some of the court cases. We'll keep you updated on those. But first, let's take a break. And when we come back, we talk about the ongoing hostile violence. And some suggest it is political violence in KZN. You don't want to miss it.
Rights and recourse tackles constitutional issues.
When South Africa became a constitutional democracy, we had a fairly sound legal system in place requiring the Constitution to guide the direction in which it must go and the way in which it must be refashioned.
The Justice Ministry, the custodian of human rights.
We actually have a plan to come up with a comprehensive review of our human rights instrument.
Advocates dealing with evidence.
Sometimes you have to use a crook to catch a crook. So we expected that the credibility would really be taken to task. You try and consult your witnesses and prepare them as best as you can.
Hashtag Rights with Dumila Matez on legal issues every Sunday at 2 o'clock Central African Time.
Welcome back. Now, the Morani Commission investigating political killings in KZN will continue in Durban today. Yesterday, the president of the Shack Dwellers Movement, Abahlali Basamjolo, alleged that some attacks on leaders of the organization were carried out in full view of the police.
An organization fighting for the rights of the homeless. They've campaigned for decent housing and battled evictions from informal settlements in Durban for years. The Commission heard about Abahlali members who've paid the highest price since 2009 and about those who were injured during illegal evictions.
Iketokras became a war zone. Umasipala udilize more than 25 times. At a gunpoint, without a court order, without any rights to do so. Meaning, ama evictions kamasipala were unlawful, they were violent, they were brutal.
Nkosinati Ngomezulu says he was shot 8 times in such an unlawful operation. No one was ever brought to book. He says he was shot 4 times in the stomach and 4 times in the side of his body. And he has suffered serious permanent injury which needs chronic medical care. Unable to work, he sells food items for a living. Zikode blamed the violence on ANC politicians and councillors. Most of the problems, he said, were linked to corruption with the city's housing allocation. He also claimed that their Xhosa-speaking members suffered ethnic discrimination and that many cases weren't investigated by the police. Renee Heine, SABC News, Durban.
Now, the Right to Know has presented a grim picture of political killings in the province in KZN. The Morani Commission investigating political killings in KZN heard on Monday that Durban South's notorious Gleedlands hostel is a haven for hitmen who operated throughout the province. Testifying upon resumption of the commission after a month's recess, human rights activist Vanessa Berger said that, according to her research, hitmen based at the hostel are used throughout KZN as killers for hire. 89 killings in the province has been traced back to hitmen that was based at the Gleedlands Hospital, hostel from 2011, according to Berger. Activist from Right to Know, Asha Mudli, now joins us from our Durban studios. Asha, very good morning to you and welcome.
Good morning. Thank you.
Can you qualify and confirm this statement for me? Anyone who wants someone taken out, Gleedlands is the place to go.
Sorry, could you repeat that question?
Is Glebelands the place to go if one is looking for a hitman in KZN?
I cannot confirm that directly, but it does appear to be the case given the number of killings.
Mm-hmm. Now, Asha, if we look at the motive of these killings, what are the motives behind it, do you think?
I think there are a number of vested interests around Glebelands. We know that beds are sold at 1,000 Rand each, and there is competition between different groups for that kind of enterprise within Glebelands.
But what are the major motivation behind these killings, though? Is it political?
The killings at Glebelands, I think they are political. There's a variety of motives around the killings at Glebelands, and I think some of them have to do with monetary interests, really a kind of fight for hegemony over what happens or who has rights in respect of beds and so on at Glebelands.
Now, we heard some disturbing evidence from the Moreani Commission thus far. Can we, or is there a possibility that the violence can end after the Commission has made its findings?
It really depends on what the Commission's findings are. Commissions in South Africa don't really have a good reputation. They basically set up to deflect the addressing of problems that give rise to commissions. And we've had a number of commissions in the country that have been costly, have been time-consuming. The resources could have been spent on actually addressing the problems that actually gave rise to them.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no guarantee that anything positive will come out of the commission.
Police activities also came under scrutiny, especially the failures on parts of the municipality, SAPS at the Durban Metro Police. Why has there been not a single arrest made since 2014?
I think that's a question you should address to the police, but the patent lack of action on the part of police is very clear and has been one of the focus areas of the Right to Know campaign's protests. We have held protests several times, drawing attention to the lack of attention by the police, the local authorities, and the national authorities. Despite these protests, nothing much has happened.
Now, you have worked very closely with the hostel dwellers there. What is their main concerns?
I think the main concern is the killings, but I think we've got to look beyond the hostels and what they represent. You know, they're closely associated with the migrant labor system during apartheid, and they really point to the exploitation of workers and the disruption of the lives, the family lives of workers. And we think, a lot of us in the Right to Know campaign, think that the whole issue of hostels nationally has to be looked at. And we have to look at things like decent housing for workers. Government has to look at that as well as employers.
So, from your perspective, decent housing will solve the problems that we see in Glebelands?
Well, I won't say it will solve the problem, but I think we should be looking at decent housing, that local authorities should be looking at providing decent housing for workers and doing away with hostels.
Asha, thank you so much for your time and joining us in our Durban studios.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Well, there you have it from our Durban studios. Right to Know activist there, Asha Mudli, telling us all about the issues at Glebelands in KZN. But right now, let's take a look at Facebook and see what is happening on social media. And we start off with the Mineral Resources Minister, Mosebenzi Zwane, who has gazetted a proposal to restrict new mining, prospecting and mining rights, as well as their renewal. Then we're looking at TB, and tuberculosis will, for the first time, top the agenda at the United Nations. the General Assembly. That's taking place in September next year. Now, this is according to the chairperson of the Global Stop TB Board and Health Minister Aaron Motsoaledi. Then we're looking at the ratings agency Fitch that has warned that envisioned changes to mine ownership laws are proof that South Africa's economic policy is tilting in a radical populist direction. Now, you can find all of this and more on our Facebook page. Let's now take a look at the front pages from around the globe, and we start off in Florida. In the U.S., the Miami Herald reports that 9 low-performing traditional public schools in Miami-Dade and Broward counties can apply for extra funding this school year under the controversial new Schools of Hope program. The ocean's most frightening predator, just when he thought it was safe. And you remember that one? Jaws. And finally, in Israel, the Jerusalem Post reports that the sale of 3 German submarines to Israel will take place after the investigation into alleged graft surrounding the deal is completed. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said yesterday. Those are some of your newspapers from around the globe, but we will take a break. And when we come back, we'll explore the situation in KZN more.
We live with this threat of violence. This is a strange and weird thing, if you come to think of it. So we don't live in a society, which is where the question leads. We want to live in a society where we trust that we will not be violated.
A man abducted her from a taxi rank in Baragwanath.
He would have taken me and killed me. He would have shot me while I was running, you know. But none of those things happened. And, you know, even if I didn't believe in God, like, this is a real miracle.
How does the police unit of family violence follow new crime trends?
Station crime intelligence will from time to time present the crime pattern analysis and the crime threat analysis. We respond to those.
For all investigative insights, stay tuned to Special Assignment every Saturday at 17:30.
Now, unfortunately, we're trying to get hold of the Premier, Willie Mchunu, who's supposed to be in our Durban studios to discuss the issues of the Glebelands hostel and the violence in KZN, but we haven't reached him as yet. As soon as we do, we'll have that discussion. But right now, a very important story that's happening this morning. The Mpumalanga provincial government will today hold a memorial service for the late music legend Ray Chika Papiri, who passed away after losing a battle with lung cancer at the age of 70. Hundreds of music lovers are expected to converge at the Mbombela Stadium in Mpumalanga to pay their last respects to the legendary musician. Now, for the latest, we cross now live to our reporter Sibongile Mkani Mpolweni, who's at the Mbombela Stadium in Mpumalanga. A very good morning to you, Sibongile. And can you tell us, paint us a picture of what currently is happening there and what we can expect today?
Good morning, Elvis, and welcome to Mbombela Stadium, where the special provincial memorial service for Ray Phiri will be held. The program is scheduled to start at 10 a.m. this morning. The family hasn't arrived yet. We've seen a few MECs arriving. We've seen other people arriving, but the family has not yet arrived. We've seen the program. It will be a short program. They will start at 10 and finish. It's scheduled to finish at 2 this afternoon. On the program, we have Stimela, which is this group, well-known group where they perform together. They will be paying tribute to their friend, their colleague, their music icon, Ray Phiri. And we also have family spokespeople that will be talking. And we also have two of his children that will be speaking about the fatherly love that he had when he passed away last week. We spoke to two of his sons who told us that Ray Phiri taught them how to cook. We were told that he was the best cook, and we were told that he loved preparing meals for families, and he didn't like eating out at restaurants because he prepared his food freshly picked vegetables. They told us about the love that he had for them, stories that they shared with us, how he used to put them on their back, even in town, like women do put their kids on their back, and the love, values, and the love of music that he had. We even saw a poster of him where he was singing, wearing a t-shirt saying "Free South Africa" during the apartheid years, just to show us that Ray Phiri is a legend that was there during the difficult times of South Africa. He played an immense role during the apartheid, where he sang songs that were forcing the government then to free South Africa and to give us this free South Africa that we have. Now we will see the proceedings start at 11, Elvis.
All right, now it seems like we can expect a wonderful service today. What other musicians or celebrities are we expecting to be at the event today, Sibongile?
We understand that Stimela will be singing today. We know that Rebecca Malope is one of those that will be singing. We're just not sure if she'll be singing today or at the funeral. We understand that Lady Smith Black Mambazo has also asked to be added to the proceedings. They will be singing maybe today and on Saturday. Those are some of the few people that will be singing. And also we were told that young musicians who were taught by him music and whom he coached, because we understand that here in Mpumalanga he played a very big role in nurturing and grooming young artists, singers, teaching them how to sing, even to read music notes. Those people have also asked to be included in the program so that they can pay their respects and tribute to him.
Now there was a lot of talk about Mzwaki Mbule being involved in the funeral arrangements. Do you know anything about that, and do you know if he might perform also today?
I am not sure if he might be performing, but I understand he is not involved in the planning or of the funeral nor the memorial service, because the funeral and the memorial service are a provincial government affair. They are being planned by the provincial government of Mpumalanga, which is why, if you remember last week when he passed away, the family had already set a date for themselves that they would be in a memorial service last week Wednesday, and the funeral was due this week Tuesday. But because now the funeral was no longer a family affair but a government, which is a special provincial funeral, which the province together with the president of the country pronounced on. So now the only people who are responsible for the funeral is the provincial government, working hand in glove with the family. No, not other people or other musicians. Yes, they can add or request things, but they are not part of the organizing committee. We haven't seen him yet, and we are not told if he'll be performing or not.
And then just finally, just to reconfirm, so the funeral, the memorial service will start at 11 or 10 o'clock?
It will start at 10 o'clock.
All right, wonderful, Sibongile. Thank you so much for that update and report. That was our reporter, Sibongile Mkani Mpolweni, coming to us live from Mbombela Stadium. Now, remember that we are asking you today about your favorite song from Ray Phiri and Stimela. That's the question on your screen right there. Let's take a look at what you are telling us. Jazzy Soul says, that one that says, one condom, one love, love it on stage, he says, Jazzy Soul. This one coming from Martini Mbena says, Stimela, greatest hits, that's the album. Yeah, that's a great album, isn't it? Lisha says, rest in peace, Ray Phiri. His live concert in 1986 with Stimela will always be remembered. That time I was 4 months old. Rest in peace, Phiri. Wonderful. Mystic Man says, fire, passion, ecstasy. There you can see it there, the guitar, the microphone, and of course, ecstasy and fire. This song makes magic. Well, there you have it. These are some of your songs that you are. Please let us know what's on your mind on the Twitter handle at SABC Newsroom. I mean, on the Facebook page as well as on the Twitter handle. But we'll bring some more of those a little bit later. Let's now take a look at what's happening with the weather forecast.
Thank you. It is indeed time to see what's happening with the latest weather details. Starting off with the interior, seeing clear skies for today. Nothing much to say. It's except for some showers expected along the coastal areas. And that cold front tomorrow will be just outside towards the Indian Ocean. High pressure still persisting in the eastern parts of the country. Cloudy weather is expected along the coast. Remember, today we're expecting some isolated showers along the coastal areas. Otherwise, clear skies for the interior from Free State, Northern Cape, most of the interior, and into the northern parts, Zambia, Angola, clear skies, except for parts of Mozambique where we're seeing just a bit of isolated showers in places, but most of the interior, the southern parts, the SADC region, sees clear skies for today and tomorrow. Looking at your temperatures for today, it's 18 for DR, 13 in Sutherland. Remember those isolated showers in places like Cape Town and Port Elizabeth for today. Komani, clear skies at 16 degrees. And these warm temperatures that you're seeing in the extreme northern parts, Mbombela at 27, Pretoria at 24, are going towards the northern parts of Africa, where we're seeing Zimbabwe is actually cooler, but Botswana, neighboring country, is different. You're seeing Maun, some towns actually warm at 27. Victoria Falls, which is in between those two countries, is actually warm at 27, while Zimbabwe is cooler today, not really because of the cold front, just because of a change in air mass. We're seeing 23 as your maximum temperature if you're in Zim, and along the coastal areas, Nampula, that's where we're seeing that small bit of isolated showers. And looking at the western parts, we're seeing Walvis Bay, and of course Luderitz, with clear skies over Namibia. There's clear skies spreading north towards Angola. We're seeing all those clear skies. And towards the islands, where we're seeing some partly cloudy weather over Madagascar, but not the whole of Madagascar, mainly in parts along the northern parts and in the south, but mainly along the coastal areas, we're seeing a bit of partly cloudy weather. Otherwise, Antananarivo today is seeing just clear skies with a high of 28. It's actually warm, while even the islands surrounding it's expecting warmer weather, although we are in winter in SADC region. But we're seeing Victoria with some isolated showers expected and high of 30 degrees. Into the SADC northern parts, where we're seeing some isolated showers in places over the northern parts of the DRC, into Libreville, where we're seeing high of 24, while Kinshasa is at 32. Summer conditions. Looking at Kampala and most places, we're expecting just some isolated showers that you may see later on this afternoon. And my maps now are showing me the extreme West Africa. And here we are seeing some heavy rains that we have been seeing for the past couple of days, especially southern parts of Mali, Bamako included, of course, in that. We're expecting the low pressure cells they start developing here over West Africa as a small tropical depression, and then they drift off in towards the coastal area. So the rain, if you're in any of these West African countries, that you can expect is that it starts off over the interior, moving towards the coastal areas for today and tomorrow. It may persist for a couple of days, actually, as these massive storm clusters of tropical rain, torrential rain just falling across those areas. I know that right now in India, and mostly in India, it's a monsoon season. They're having a lot of rainfall, a lot of moisture is accumulated into those storms. They're having floods in those areas. About 20 people died in India just because of those floods and mudslides that do results from that. Luckily here in West Africa, we don't have mudslides, but we do have a lot of rain. So if we do see that we are expecting a lot of rain, especially in West Africa, for the next couple of days. It's starting today. It has started for the past couple of days, but it's continuing on today. And for the next day and for the next couple of days, the whole week, it's just going to continue raining in these areas. We're seeing it, most of the rain in places starting over the interior and moving towards the coastal areas. North Africa sees clear skies. We're seeing Marrakech at 33. You can see temperatures jumping up to 33. And all these hot temperatures in places like Agadez and Chad spreading towards Egypt. We're seeing via Cairo at 37 as well, very hot temperatures. Tunisia as well, we're seeing clear skies. Into Libya, where we're seeing all those clear skies with extremely hot temperatures. And over the interior, places like Cameroon, also seeing some isolated showers, but in those areas it will be on and off. It's not standing for the whole day, unlike what's happening in West Africa, where we're seeing torrential rains, which are just after sitting there for the whole day. Now, this brings me to the end of my weather bulletin. Remember to stay tuned as Newsroom has more weather updates later on. Remember, everywhere you go, take the weather with you.
Zisle, now I can see that it's very hot in the north of Africa and elsewhere. It's very cold up here. And that's why we're asking our viewers this morning what was their favorite song from Ray Phiri and Stimela. It's a song that we're going to play right now, Fire, Passion and Ecstasy. But what do you remember about Ray Phiri and Stimela? Do you remember any of their songs, maybe from your parents?
You're putting me on the spot here.
Yeah?
But I'm hearing a lot of songs that I do like because Stimela, I didn't know that it was by Ray Phiri.
Yeah.
It's a lovely song that I grew up listening to. And that, yeah, that's my favorite one.
Well, on that note, let me play you that very important song. Somebody was asking for it a little bit earlier as well. Fire, Passion and Ecstasy. Here is Ray Phiri.
Ecstasy burning like fire in my heart. I saw playing softly in the heat of the night, stirring the deepest feelings of desire in me. One lost in love, sweet touch of the dawn coming through the window. It's magic, stoke the fire. Little tricks building up so high. Beautiful is the melody of the song. But world is it leading us to? We becoming victims of love. Something so big, unnatural, is drawing us closer to the fire. Together so strong. Now we know we got that way. The fire is burning, it looks okay. Burning forever, a sweet passion. Sweet passion, fire in
Africa is getting more and more digitized, and people have to navigate through an increasingly connected world.
I did a call my bay over here.
At school, I use my Wi-Fi.
On Network, we tell you about Africa's technology and social media landscape.
Politicians already do use Twitter a lot.
It's both Android and iOS compatible.
A solar charged box that includes everything, the computer, the projector.
That's Network with Ms. Phumelele Zondi every Sunday at 9 p.m.
What guides us? What leads us forward? Is it the words of our sacred texts? Is it the actions of our people? Or the voices of our citizens? Your country is guided by the voices of its people, and your broadcaster is dependent on your voice to guide it. Get your copy of the SABC's editorial policy and have your say.
Well, a very good morning and welcome to AM News Live at 10:00 hours across all Central Africa regions.
A fitting send-off for a revolutionary giant, a life dedicated in service of the people.
The result means that the Swallows are out of the ABC Multiple League and drop to the amateur fourth tier of South African football, the SAB League.
Tune in on AM News every Saturday and Sunday from 10 hours.
About that trending life, the looking good and all that slayage? Well, fear not, because Trends has all the fashion do's and don'ts for you to stay on point this upcoming season.
This film will be an immersive spectacle. You got Kong that's 100 feet tall.
It tells this incredible story of man versus nature.
The iconic stage production by Mbongeni Ngema is back with a bang.
Sarafina is a classic South African production.
I always choose to align myself with brands that I just love. Because when you love something, it doesn't become work.
Luxury is not built overnight, but it's an experience that comes with time.
Catch up with all the trends on Trends Saturdays at 12.
Welcome back to the newsroom. This is the second hour. Now today the focus is on South African jazz icon Ray Phiri, who was buried last week, and in fact will be buried. The memorial service happening today in Mbombela, Kendall, and it's a very sad day for South Africans, especially the music industry.
That it is. I think Ray Phiri was a soundtrack to a whole lot of us as growing up, listening to Ray Phiri's songs being blasted on speakers throughout the weekend. Wherever we grew up, Ray Phiri really was a soundtrack to my life, and we're definitely going to miss this icon of South African history.
Now, a little bit, in fact, just now we'll be speaking to our reporter there, Sibongile. She is in Mbombela. Sibongile, we're going to speak to you just now in a couple of more minutes, but I just want to find out, because we're asking our listeners what is their favorite Ray Phiri song. What is your favorite song from Ray Phiri?
My favorite Ray Phiri song is Singa Chinti Machita, Singa Chinti. I can't sing.
All right, Sibongile, we'll be coming to you shortly as soon as we just opened there, and she's got an interview with a family spokesperson that she'll take us through. So what is your favorite song? Let's take a look at what you are telling us on the Twitter handle as well as on the Facebook page.
Humphrey Matebu says Zwagala is the greatest song ever. Ray Phiri. From Humphrey Matebula, Kamandaga.
This one coming from Katlejo says, Swagala, come to me. Yes, I love that one. Thank you, Ray. Your music lives on.
Saba says, Zwagala Ngineno and Stime.
Well, there you have it. These are some of your songs. Please keep them coming and we'll read them as we continue. But today, we're looking at that disturbing trend, that investigation by the Morani Commission into the ongoing political killings in KZN. Now, unfortunately, we did not get hold of the Premier, who was supposed to be in our Durban studios, but we'll see if we can catch up with him, not today, but some other time. And that's why we're asking you, will the Commission uncover the cause of the political killings in KZN?
Interesting enough, we've got 195 votes that have come in, and a whopping 70% have no faith that the Morani Commission will uncover the cause of political killings in KwaZulu-Natal. Speaks to some deep-seated mistrust of the process, maybe.
Mistrust indeed, and we'll see if we can bring you some of the issues coming out of the Morani Commission a little bit later. But Dipanso says, yeah, right. Tell me when they do, because nothing will come out of this commission as such, he says.
Dihle says, the most painful act in South Africa is killing someone for power. One day a civil war can break out. Stop the killings.
Grant Grimm says commissions are like meetings in this country. A lot of talk and no action. When there's an accusation made, we will set up a commission. So says Grant. Those are your comments. Please keep them coming, but let's also keep it light. You know, Wade van Niekerk is on a roll, and Usain Bolt will not race against him.
It's not so light for Usain Bolt. He's chosen not to race against Wade van Niekerk in London. 200-meter race. He's decided he's doing the 4x1 and the 100 meters, and that's it. I want to find out from you, is Bolt running scared?
Well, Collins says, was he asked his reasons for not participating and partaking? I also think he is having goosebumps. Yes, indeed.
Now, Collins definitely was asked his reasons for, and we'll bring those to you a little later in the Sports Bulletin. Calvin Mbiza says, Bolt, he's not scared of anyone. Let's respect his decision for not running. It might be personal.
Jamila van der Skyf, she says, I think that Usain Bolt is getting too old. Perhaps Bolt fears that he would lose to Van Niekerk because he might get too tired.
Yes.
Well, he's still in top form, Usain Bolt, but I would love to see the two running together sometime.
Would have been great. It's not going to happen.
Before Bolt retires, though.
It's not going to happen because London Championships might actually be Bolt's very last major championships. It might not happen anytime in the near future.
But let's get down to business. Take a look at your news headlines. The Monetary Policy Committee is expected to make a decision on whether to hike, cut or keep the interest rates the same. Now that is the question, to cut or not to cut. Workers in the vehicle manufacturing sector threatened to down tools after several rounds of negotiations failed. And legendary jazz musician Ray Phiri will be remembered at a memorial service at Mbombela Stadium, Mpumalanga today. There you can see some live pictures coming through there. Our reporter Sibongile is standing by looking at the coffin coming out of that particular vehicle there. Sibongile, paint us that picture. What is going on there right now?
Morning once again, Elvis. I'm going to ask my camera person, colleague Mzolisi Kolkwana, to just give you the live visuals of the family coming in now at the marquee in Mbombela Stadium, where the memorial service for Ray Phiri is scheduled to start anytime from now. We have his best friend next to me, Linda Mulefe, who's going to tell us what will be happening throughout the day. Good morning, sir. Just what's going to happen from now? The family has arrived.
Today is the memorial service. As you see, the family is being ushered in. There's demarcated areas where different stakeholders will be sitting. So today is the day to celebrate Ray. We've got his friends from childhood. We've got colleagues from the industry. We'll be having tributes, performances from his group, Stimela, and other groups that would have wanted to do something. So this is their day, really. And to say to the world, people that could not come here, we know you are there, and this is the time where you celebrate the icon.
Thank you. That was his best friend, childhood best friend, Ray Phiri's childhood best friend. He's been talking to us since last week, the day he passed on. We know that he was battling lung cancer in hospital. We've seen his widow there and his young kids, as well as his older children, being flanked by family. Those are family members right now just arriving. They'll be going through to the offices just to be briefed on the proceedings of today by government. We know that the funeral is a provincial special funeral, therefore everything will be done in accordance with government protocol. Childhood speakers will be here talking about their friend Ray Phiri. We will have members of his family paying tribute to this icon. They know, they are well aware that they shared him with many of us South Africans. He was no longer their only father. I'm just going to move out of shot so that you can see the visuals of, we've got former Premier Matthew Posa, accompanied by his wife, also here to attend the memorial service. We've also got other dignitaries as well as family people coming in. Babu Posa Gunjan, you are here today. What do you remember about this legend, Ray Phiri?
Well, Ray Phiri was a great singer, a giant, one of the best sons of our soil, who have inspired the nation. And when we were in exile, we used to really enjoy watching and listening to his videos with Stimela, which were prophetic in terms of saying, where are we going? That there's hope for the future. And I'm very happy he lived to see the new South Africa and to share it with all of us. But I'm sad that he has departed. But I hope there are lessons for young people about Ray Phiri. It's not just music, it's to understand the value of education, and that the way to success is not through a limousine, it's through education, picking up skills, knowledge and experience, and becoming wise.
And just words to the family of Ray Phiri?
Well, to the Phiri family, I would like to wish them to read the Psalms 23, which says the Lord will be their shepherd and they will not want, and he will restore their souls.
Thank you, thank you. That was former Mpumalanga Premier Dr. Advocate Matthew Posa. Right now, the family has gone, as I said, to be briefed by the provincial government on the proceedings. As we speak right now, the memorial service was scheduled to start at 10, but has not started. We have members of the clergy just coming in on my right-hand side here to observe the memorial service. We are seeing more people coming in, cars coming in, but the actual memorial service has not started. But the family is here right now, so it will start anytime from now, Elvis.
Thank you, Sibongile. We'll be coming to her shortly, in fact, live at that particular event. And also, we will take a look at the life and times of Ray Phiri on this program shortly. So you have to stay tuned. Meanwhile, let's get back down to news now. The Reserve Bank is expected to make an announcement on the repo rate after its Monetary Policy Committee meeting in Pretoria this afternoon. Some economists say the chances of a cut are highly likely. Economists say that cutting interest rates would not be ideal for South Africa's current economic situation. They say that interest rate cuts are not a solution to South Africa's economic challenges. They say in order to kickstart economic growth, there needs to be concrete changes in terms of economic policy reform. Trade union NUMSA has warned of further construction delays at Eskom's coal power plants Medupi and Kusile if its members in the engineering and metal sectors go on a strike. The action could also have serious implications on the car manufacturing sector. The union says talks between itself and the employer have deadlocked. The National Union of Metal Workers says a breakdown in wage talks has led to threats of strike action, and it has been granted a certificate to strike. NUMSA spokesperson Pakemile Shlubi says that the union and employers are far apart on their demands. It wants a 15% increase across the board wage increase based on the actual rate that members are earning. The union wants a 2-year agreement. They also want this agreement to be backdated to the 1st of July and to all sectors in the engineering, whether or not they are members of members. Meanwhile,